Have you ever opened your eyes at 3 a.m., heart racing, mind spinning, wondering why you're awake again? It's quiet. The world feels still. Yet something inside of you is loud, asking for attention. We often think of this hour as restless or inconvenient. But what if it's sacred? What if it's your body's gentle tap on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, something inside you needs care"? The first thing to do is to listen. Don't grab your phone. Don't force yourself back to sleep. Just breathe and ask your body what it's trying to tell you. Sometimes it's stress, sometimes it's sadness, and sometimes it's simply your soul asking for space. Second, turn your anxiety into awareness. When your mind starts racing, don't run from it. Sit in the discomfort. Name your fears. I'm scared of failing. I feel lonely. I'm unsure about what comes next. When you name your pain, you take away its power to control you. And finally, practice compassion. The same softness you'd offer a friend, offer that to yourself. These early hours can become your most intimate moments of healing. Whisper to yourself, "It's okay to be awake. I'm learning. I'm growing." Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you're standing in a doorway between what was and what can be. These hours invite you not to panic, but to pause, to breathe, to begin again, because sometimes the universe doesn't wake you up to disturb your peace. It wakes you up to help you find it. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the first instinct is usually frustration. You might glance at the clock, roll over, and groan, thinking, "Not again." But before reaching for your phone or forcing yourself to sleep, pause for a moment and listen. Not with your ears, but with your body. That quiet hour between night and dawn carries a kind of sacred stillness. In that stillness, your body begins to speak. It tells stories you've been too busy to hear during the day. It whispers truths that have been buried under work, noise, and distraction. Listening to your body is not something we are taught to do. We are taught to push, to perform, to endure. We silence the signals, pain, fatigue, tension, until they grow loud enough to break through. When you find yourself awake at 3 a.m., it's not random. It's often your body's way of saying, something needs your attention. Think about how much your body endures without complaint. It holds your emotions, your memories, your fears. It keeps you alive while you live disconnected from it. It's patient, but not infinite. And sometimes, it uses the only quiet time available, the early hours, to communicate. This is why listening is so important. Instead of labeling it as insomnia, try to see it as a conversation. Ask yourself, what's going on inside me right now? Maybe your shoulders are tight because you're carrying stress from the day. Maybe your chest feels heavy because of something unspoken. Maybe you feel fine physically, but there's a restlessness that refuses to be ignored. The body remembers everything that the mind tries to forget. It's not trying to punish you by waking you up. It's trying to help you align with yourself again. Listening to your body begins with awareness. You don't need to analyze or judge what you feel. Just notice. Where is there tension? Is your breathing shallow? Does your stomach feel uneasy? These sensations are messages, not mistakes. Often, people wake up in those early hours because their nervous system is overstimulated. The body might still be in survival mode long after the day has ended. Adrenaline and cortisol may still be running high, even when the world around you is silent. That's not something to resent. It's something to understand. Your body isn't betraying you. It's protecting you. It's telling you, I'm not safe enough to rest yet. And in hearing that, you can begin to create the safety it needs. Listening also means slowing down. You can't hear what your body says if you're rushing to silence it. Place one hand on your chest and one on your abdomen. Feel your breath as it moves in and out. Notice if it's short, strained, or flowing easily. Without forcing anything, invite your breath to deepen. This is a way of saying, I'm here. I'm listening. It's astonishing how the body softens when it feels heard. Sometimes, within a few minutes of this simple awareness, the tension begins to release. Not because you've solved anything, but because you've acknowledged it. That acknowledgement is healing in itself. The body's language is subtle. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And those whispers often come at 3 a.m., when the world is too quiet for you to drown them out. Many people think that being spiritual or emotionally balanced means never waking up restless. But that's not true. Wakefulness can be a sign of deep inner growth. It's the body's way of integrating, processing, and releasing. If you've gone through emotional challenges, your body continues to work through them long after your mind has moved on. It's like a friend who stays behind to clean up after everyone's left. So when you wake, instead of feeling frustrated, you can choose to feel gratitude. Gratitude that your body is doing its work, keeping you safe and helping you heal, even when you're not consciously aware of it. Listening to your body also requires humility. It's about accepting that your body knows things your mind hasn't yet realized. The mind is fast, the body is wise. You can rationalize your feelings, but your body reveals the truth. You might tell yourself you're fine, but your stomach knots. You might say you've let go of something, but your chest still feels heavy. The body never lies. It tells you exactly where you stand emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That's why listening isn't always comfortable. Sometimes what you hear is not what you want to hear. You may realize you're more tired, anxious, or disconnected than you thought. But the moment you acknowledge it, you begin to return to yourself. At 3 a.m. the distractions disappear. There's no background noise to hide behind. The only thing left is you, your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts, and in that silence, truth rises. Listening at that hour is an act of courage. It means meeting yourself without filters. You don't need to fix or change anything right away. Just being present is enough. Presence itself is healing. When your body feels that your awareness has arrived, it begins to trust you again. That trust leads to restoration. If your body could speak in words, it might say, "I've missed you." It might say, "You've been carrying too much." It might say, "Please slow down." These are not accusations. They are invitations. Invitations to rest, to nourish, to realign. The wisdom of your body is ancient. Long before you learned to talk, your body communicated through sensations. It knew when you needed love, when you needed rest, when you needed protection. That wisdom hasn't disappeared. It's just been overshadowed by the noise of modern life. Every time you listen, truly listen, you return to that natural intelligence. Even if you don't find an immediate answer, listening has value. It tells your nervous system that you're not ignoring it. It tells your heart that you're willing to be gentle. Sometimes the simple act of placing your hand over your heart and breathing deeply for a few minutes can shift everything. You may start to feel calmer, more grounded. The body senses safety through presence, not perfection. It doesn't need you to have all the answers. It just needs you to show up. Listening to your body is also about respecting its rhythms. Between 3 and 5 a.m., your liver and lungs, organs associated with detoxification and emotional release, are most active according to traditional medicine. This may be why so many people wake during those hours. It's the body's way of cleansing not only physically, but emotionally. Instead of resisting it, you can support it. Drink water, breathe deeply, or simply sit with gratitude. The body's work is sacred. It's working for you, not against you. Over time, when you make a habit of listening, the body begins to speak more clearly. You start to notice signals earlier, before they become distress calls. You catch stress before it turns into burnout. You sense emotional heaviness before it becomes pain. You become more attuned, more present, more alive. And that transformation begins in those small, quiet hours when the world is dark but your awareness is awake. Listening to your body isn't just about sleep. It's about trust. It's about forming a relationship with the one thing that's been with you since the beginning and will stay with you until the end. It's about honoring the wisdom that lives in your breath, your heartbeat, your bones. The next time you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., take it as a sacred meeting with yourself. A meeting where no one is asking you to be productive, perfect, or strong. You're just being asked to be present, to listen, to remember that your body is not your enemy, it's your ally. And when you listen long enough, it will always lead you home. When the clock strikes between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. and you find yourself awake, your mind alert, your body restless, it can feel like your peace has been stolen. Your thoughts start racing, tumbling over one another, searching for meaning or escape. You replay conversations, relive mistakes, worry about the future. It feels as if your brain refuses to rest. But what if this moment of anxiety isn't a curse? What if it's an invitation? An opportunity to turn fear into awareness? What if the very thoughts that haunt you at this hour are the ones that hold the key to your healing? Anxiety loves silence. In the stillness of the early morning, when there's no noise to drown it out, it steps forward and fills the space. It's easy to interpret this as something going wrong, but often it's your body and mind finally aligning to release what you've been suppressing. During the day, you're too busy to feel deeply. You rush, perform, distract. But in the early hours, there's no performance, just you and your truth. The fear that rises is not there to punish you. It's there to awaken you. It's your inner self saying, I need you to pay attention. That's where transformation begins, by choosing to stay present with what scares you instead of trying to escape it. Anxiety is energy. It's movement, pressure, vibration. It's your mind and body trying to make sense of something unresolved. When you wake in the night and feel it rising, notice what it's doing. Is your chest tight? Is your breathing shallow? Are your thoughts scattered? Instead of resisting it, breathe into it. Awareness begins the moment you stop running. You don't have to fix the feeling. You only have to observe it. By turning your attention toward the anxiety instead of away from it, you begin to reclaim your power. Fear loses its strength when it's met with conscious presence. Awareness transforms anxiety because it shifts your relationship with it. Most people try to control or suppress uncomfortable emotions. They think peace means never feeling anxious. But true peace is not the absence of discomfort. It's the ability to stay open to it without being consumed. When you wake at 3 a.m. and your mind begins its restless chatter, you can choose awareness instead of resistance. You can say to yourself, this is my mind processing. This is my body speaking. This is a moment of truth. In that instant, you are no longer trapped in the storm. You are the one observing it. Awareness creates space. Space creates freedom. In that space, you start to see that anxiety is often a messenger. It shows up when something inside you is misaligned. When you're ignoring your boundaries, living out of harmony with your truth, or carrying emotions that have nowhere to go. Instead of silencing it, listen to what it's saying. Maybe your anxiety is pointing to exhaustion. Maybe it's asking you to slow down. Maybe it's calling you to let go of something you've been holding onto too tightly. The discomfort is rarely random. It's information. Awareness allows you to decode it. Sometimes, the anxiety that wakes you at 3 a.m. isn't even about the present moment. It's old energy resurfacing, grief that was never processed, fears that were pushed down, memories that were never healed. The night is when your subconscious has the freedom to release what your conscious mind keeps buried. Awareness doesn't mean analyzing every thought or emotion. It means acknowledging them with compassion. You can simply say, I see you. I feel you. You're safe to move through me. This simple acknowledgement can shift your entire state of being. There's a reason awareness is so powerful. It brings light into darkness. Anxiety thrives in avoidance, but it dissolves in the light of understanding. When you stop fighting it, it becomes softer, less threatening. The moment you say, "I'm aware of what's happening," you step out of the spiral. You become the witness, not the victim. This doesn't mean the anxiety disappears instantly, but it begins to lose its grip. You start to remember that you are larger than your fear, deeper than your thoughts, and more grounded than your restlessness. Turning anxiety into awareness is also about changing your inner dialogue. When you wake up anxious, your instinct might be to ask, "What's wrong with me?" But that question deepens the panic. Instead, ask, "What am I feeling right now?" Or, "What do I need right now?" These questions open, rather than close, your awareness. They invite curiosity instead of judgment. Curiosity is a gentle energy. It helps you stay connected to yourself even when you're uncomfortable. When you meet your anxiety with curiosity, it begins to reveal what it's been trying to teach you all along. Awareness also means bringing the body into the process. Anxiety isn't just mental, it's physical. When you feel it rise, anchor yourself in the body. Feel your feet on the bed, the weight of the blanket, the rhythm of your breath. Let your awareness travel through your body like a soft light, noticing where tension lies. Often, you'll find that just by observing your sensations without resistance, they begin to ease. The body relaxes when it feels seen. Awareness is not about forcing calm. It's about creating the conditions for calm to arise naturally. You might notice that when you stay with awareness long enough, a shift happens. The same thoughts that felt overwhelming begin to quiet down. You might realize that your anxiety was not about danger. It was about unexpressed emotion. Maybe you've been overworking, avoiding grief, or living disconnected from your heart. The awareness that emerges at 3 a.m. is often raw and honest. It doesn't come dressed in logic. It comes as feeling. That's why it's so transformative if you allow it to be. Awareness doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you'll never feel anxious again. It simply means that when you do, you know how to meet it. You know how to breathe through it, how to listen, how to respond instead of react. Over time, these midnight awakenings may become moments of insight rather than frustration. You might even start to welcome them. Not because you enjoy the discomfort, but because you trust that something meaningful is unfolding within you. You realize that awakening in the middle of the night is not just physical. It's symbolic. It's a sign that you are waking up to yourself. Every moment of awareness adds to your strength. Each time you stay present with your fear, you expand your capacity for peace. The practice of awareness builds resilience. It teaches you that you can survive discomfort, that you can face uncertainty without losing yourself. Eventually, the very thing that used to terrify you becomes the thing that empowers you. The dark hours become sacred hours. They become a classroom where you learn to listen to your own soul. So, when you next wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., and the anxious thoughts begin to swirl, pause. Feel your breath. Notice your body. Name what you're experiencing without judgment. Remember that this moment isn't here to break you. It's here to show you how strong you truly are. Anxiety is not the enemy, unconsciousness is. The more aware you become, the less control fear has over you. The quiet hours of the night can then transform from chaos into clarity, from anxiety into awakening. And when morning finally comes, you will rise not just rested, but renewed. Because awareness has turned your restlessness into wisdom. There is something deeply human about waking up in the stillness of night and immediately turning against yourself. The clock glows with that cold, blue light, 3:07 a.m., and before you know it, your mind begins its familiar rhythm of self-criticism. Why can't I just sleep like a normal person? What's wrong with me? Why am I like this? You pull the blanket over your head, trying to smother your own thoughts, but they don't stop. They grow louder. You feel guilt, frustration, shame, all wrapped inside your exhaustion. This is where most people get lost. But this is also where transformation begins, in choosing compassion over condemnation. When you wake in the night, your body doesn't need judgment. It needs kindness. It doesn't need control. It needs care. Practicing radical compassion for yourself in those quiet, anxious hours is not weakness. It is an act of profound strength. The world teaches us to be hard on ourselves. We are taught that if something isn't working, we must fix it, control it, or force it. But compassion is the opposite of force. It's the art of softening. It's the quiet rebellion that says, I can be gentle with myself, even when I don't have all the answers. When you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it's easy to fall into old patterns of blame or fear. But what if, instead of fighting the moment, you chose to meet yourself with kindness? What if you whispered to yourself, it's okay to be awake. It's okay to be human. It's okay to feel. That single moment of tenderness can shift the entire energy of the night. Radical compassion means meeting your suffering with understanding instead of resistance. It means acknowledging that your mind is doing what it was built to do, protecting you, processing, preparing. You're not broken because you wake in the night. You're alive. You're sensitive enough to feel what's stirring within you. The practice of compassion begins with recognizing that your struggle does not make you flawed. It makes you real. Every human being has moments of fear, doubt, and restlessness. The difference between those who suffer endlessly and those who heal lies in how they respond. Compassion is that bridge. It turns pain into presence, chaos into calm. When you wake in the middle of the night, your inner critic tends to awaken too. It whispers stories of failure, inadequacy, and fear. It tells you that you're not enough, that you're behind, that you should be stronger, calmer, better. This voice can sound convincing, but it's not the truth. It's a wound speaking. Compassion allows you to separate from that voice. It helps you see that your self-criticism is not who you are. It's simply a pattern born from years of survival. Every time you respond to that inner voice with gentleness instead of aggression, you rewrite the script. You teach your nervous system that safety can exist even in uncertainty, that you can be both imperfect and worthy of love at the same time. Compassion is not passive, it's active. It's the conscious decision to meet your discomfort with care. It's saying, I will hold myself through this moment instead of abandoning myself. You can practice it physically by placing your hand over your heart and breathing deeply. Feel the warmth beneath your palm. Remind yourself that you are safe. You can practice it mentally by speaking to yourself as you would to someone you love. You're doing your best. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. This moment will pass. The more you practice this, the more your mind learns that softness doesn't mean weakness. It means resilience. One of the hardest things about compassion is that it often feels undeserved. When you're lying awake, frustrated, tired, and full of worry, compassion can feel like the last thing you deserve. You might think, I haven't earned it. I need to fix myself first. But that's the paradox. Compassion is not earned, it's given freely, especially when you least feel worthy of it. That's what makes it radical. It cuts through the illusion that love is conditional. It reminds you that even in your most vulnerable, messy state, you are still deserving of care. In fact, that's when you need it the most. Think about a child who wakes crying in the middle of the night. You wouldn't yell at that child for being afraid or restless. You would comfort them. You'd whisper softly, it's okay. You're safe now. You'd hold them until they felt calm enough to rest again. That's the kind of love your inner self is asking for at 3 a.m. The restless thoughts, the tightness in your chest, the unease. They're not enemies. They're younger parts of you crying out for reassurance. Radical compassion means becoming the gentle parent to your own inner child. It means offering yourself the tenderness you never received or the patience you've denied yourself. This kind of compassion changes the chemistry of your body. When you meet anxiety with softness instead of shame, your nervous system begins to relax. Your heart rate slows, your breath deepens. The body recognizes safety and kindness. Over time, this practice rewires how you relate to stress. Instead of spiraling into panic, you learn to create calm from within. You start to trust that even when things feel uncertain, you can hold yourself through it. This is how self-trust is built. Not through perfection, but through presence. There's also a spiritual dimension to compassion. When you offer yourself love in the dark hours of the night, you align with something sacred. You connect with the truth that you are part of something larger than your thoughts. Compassion opens the heart. It dissolves the illusion of separateness. The moment you choose gentleness, you're no longer fighting life. You're flowing with it. You remember that being human is not about control. It's about surrender. It's about allowing yourself to be held by something greater, whether you call it love, grace, or peace. Radical compassion doesn't mean you never feel pain again. It means you learn to meet pain without abandoning yourself. It means you learn to say, "This hurts, but I can stay. This is hard, but I'm here for me. This is uncertain, but I trust the process." Each time you choose this inner posture, you become stronger. Not because you've armored yourself, but because you've learned to open. The soft heart is not fragile, it's powerful. It can bend without breaking. It can love without needing guarantees. As you continue to practice compassion in those early hours, you may notice that your relationship with sleep changes. The nights don't feel like battles anymore. They become conversations. You start to see wakefulness not as an interruption, but as an invitation to reconnect with yourself. You begin to look forward to those moments, not with fear, but with curiosity. What is my body trying to tell me tonight? What part of me needs love right now? In time, the anxiety softens, the restlessness eases, and the night becomes a sanctuary of peace rather than a prison of worry. So, when you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. and feel the pull of self-criticism, remember this: nothing is wrong with you. You are simply being called to care for yourself in a deeper way. You don't need to fight the moment or force sleep. You need to soften into it. Wrap yourself in patience. Offer yourself the same tenderness you'd offer a loved one. Whisper to your heart, "I am safe. I am enough. I am allowed to rest." The compassion you give yourself in the darkness will always return as light in the morning. Because every act of self-kindness, no matter how small, is a reminder that love is not something you find outside of you. It's something you become. There is a rare and sacred silence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., a silence that feels almost alive. The world rests. The air is still, and time seems suspended. Most people experience that silence as emptiness, but it's not empty at all. It's full of presence. It's full of energy waiting to be noticed. When you wake in those hours, instead of turning on the lights or scrolling through your phone, what if you simply sat still? What if you treated that wakefulness as an invitation to reconnect, to breathe, to be present, to listen to something deeper than your thoughts? In those hours, the mind and body are quiet enough for the soul to speak. Reconnection through breath and stillness is one of the most powerful things you can offer yourself. It's a doorway back into peace. The breath is the bridge between the visible and the invisible. It connects the physical body to the unseen flow of life. When you focus on your breathing, you return to the most ancient rhythm, the rhythm of being alive. The problem is that most of the time, we breathe without awareness. We rush, we worry, we strain. Our breath becomes shallow and tight, mirroring our minds. But the moment you become conscious of your breathing, something extraordinary happens. You begin to return home to yourself. Your breath is a quiet reminder that you are here, now, that life is still moving through you, even when everything feels uncertain. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your first instinct may be to question why. But instead of asking, "Why am I awake?" try asking, "What is this moment trying to teach me?" Close your eyes and bring attention to your breath. Feel the air as it moves through your nostrils, filling your lungs, expanding your chest. Then notice as it leaves your body, soft and slow. The breath doesn't need to be forced. It's not something you control. It's something you allow. Breathing this way transforms restlessness into presence. The simple act of noticing your breath changes the state of your mind. It calms the nervous system, lowers the heart rate, and brings balance to emotions that might have been spinning out of control moments before. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of awareness. It doesn't mean your mind becomes blank or your body becomes frozen. Stillness is what happens when you stop resisting the moment. When you no longer fight being awake, your body begins to relax. The resistance, the tension that says, "I shouldn't be awake right now," is what keeps you restless. When you let that go and settle into the now, the body finds its own natural peace. You might notice that the night feels softer. The air feels cooler. The silence feels friendly rather than haunting. This is the power of stillness. It changes your relationship with the moment. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your subconscious is wide open. The boundaries between your conscious thoughts and deeper intuition are thinner. This is why so many spiritual traditions describe these hours as sacred. Monks, mystics, and poets throughout history have used this time for meditation, prayer, and reflection. There's something about these early hours that draws you closer to truth. When you sit in stillness and breathe, you align yourself with that quiet intelligence that moves through everything. You begin to sense that you're not separate from life. You're part of it. Your worries start to feel smaller because they exist within something infinitely vast and calm. Stillness doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need perfect posture or candlelight. You just need to stop running from yourself. Sit up gently, or stay lying down if that feels right. Place a hand on your heart or abdomen and breathe. Feel the rise and fall. That rhythm is the sound of life itself. Each breath says, "I'm still here." Each exhale is a letting go. If thoughts come, let them pass like clouds drifting across a night sky. Don't chase them. Don't resist them. Stillness isn't about forcing the mind to stop thinking. It's about realizing that you are more than your thoughts. You are the awareness watching them come and go. Breathing with awareness also connects you to your emotions. Sometimes, when you wake up at that hour, you're carrying emotions that haven't been expressed. Fear, sadness, longing, or even inspiration. Instead of trying to suppress them, let the breath hold them. With every inhale, imagine drawing in compassion. With every exhale, imagine releasing tension. This creates an energetic flow that allows emotions to move through you without overwhelming you. Stillness becomes a space of healing rather than avoidance. You start to realize that your emotions are not enemies. They're waves that rise and fall within the ocean of your being. As you stay with your breath, something subtle begins to shift. The edges between your body and the world feel less defined. You begin to sense that you are part of something larger, a quiet intelligence that moves the stars, the wind, the tides. This realization doesn't come from thinking, it comes from being. It's what happens when the mind quiets enough for the heart to feel. Reconnecting through breath and stillness isn't about escaping life. It's about remembering your place within it. You stop trying to control and you start to trust. Trust that everything, including this sleepless moment, is part of something meaningful. It's easy to underestimate the power of this kind of stillness because it's so simple. But simplicity is where truth hides. In those few minutes of breathing consciously, you can shift your entire state of being. You can go from panic to peace, from isolation to connection. This is not an abstract idea. It's a physiological truth. The breath is directly connected to the vagus nerve, which regulates the body's relaxation response. When you breathe deeply and slowly, you send a message to your brain that you are safe. Your body responds accordingly. Muscles release, heart rate slows, and your mind softens. You begin to rest even while awake. Stillness also creates space for insight. When the noise quiets, clarity emerges. You may suddenly understand something you've been struggling with. You may remember a forgotten dream or a truth that has been waiting patiently beneath your distractions. These moments of clarity are gifts that come only in silence. The night in its stillness becomes your teacher. It shows you that peace isn't found by adding more. It's found by surrendering to less. Less noise, less control, less resistance, more breath, more presence, more being. Sometimes, after a few minutes of breathing and stillness, you'll drift back into sleep naturally. Other times, you'll stay awake until dawn. Both are fine. The goal isn't to manipulate sleep. It's to reconnect with yourself. Whether you fall back asleep or not, you will have done something sacred. You will have remembered your own presence. You will have turned an anxious interruption into a moment of awakening. And that matters far more than an extra hour of rest. If you make this a practice, if every time you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you respond with breath and stillness, you'll begin to notice changes in your waking life too. You'll find yourself calmer during the day, more grounded in stressful moments, more aware of the quiet wisdom inside you. The peace you cultivate at night will follow you into the daylight. You'll start to see that the same stillness available at 3 a.m. is always available. It's just harder to hear amid the noise of the day. But once you've touched that silence, you'll know how to return to it whenever you need it. So the next time you open your eyes in the deep hours of the night, don't rush to escape it. Don't see it as a problem. See it as a doorway. The universe is inviting you to slow down, to breathe, to remember. Each inhale connects you to the present. Each exhale releases the past. Each moment of stillness returns you to who you really are, a being of calm, clarity, and quiet strength. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the world sleeps. But you are awake, not just physically, but spiritually. And in that wakefulness, there is a profound beauty waiting to be felt. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it can feel like your peace has been interrupted, like your body has betrayed you, like something is wrong. You glance at the clock and do the math in your head. How many hours of sleep you've lost, how tired you'll be tomorrow. But what if that moment wasn't a curse at all? What if it was a message? A quiet reminder that something within you is seeking renewal. We are taught to view restlessness as a problem, but in truth, it can be a gift. Every time you wake in those early hours, you are being given a chance to transform what feels like disruption into rebirth. Renewal doesn't always come through comfort. It often begins in the places where peace has been disturbed. When the body wakes unexpectedly, it's easy to respond with frustration. You might think, why can't I just stay asleep? But perhaps your body is not fighting against you. It's working for you. Maybe it's telling you, slow down, reconnect, release. The body knows how to heal, but healing requires awareness. That wakefulness is a signal that something within you, physical, emotional, or spiritual, is ready to be released. You can resist it, or you can embrace it. The difference lies in how you choose to meet the moment. Renewal always begins with acceptance. The moment you stop fighting what is and start listening, transformation begins. Restlessness is not the opposite of peace. It's often the beginning of it. When you wake in the night, your nervous system is often processing the noise and chaos you've absorbed during the day. All the emotions you didn't have time to feel, all the conversations that left an echo, all the thoughts you pushed aside, they rise to the surface because the stillness of the night gives them space to be heard. It's not punishment, it's purification. The body and mind are trying to restore balance. If you meet that process with patience instead of panic, it becomes deeply healing. Every breath you take, every gentle acknowledgement of what you feel, helps transform that restlessness into renewal. The process of renewal begins when you choose curiosity over control. Instead of trying to force yourself back to sleep, you might ask, what's awakening in me right now? That simple question changes everything. It takes you out of resistance and into awareness. Maybe what's awakening is a realization you've been avoiding. Maybe it's an emotion you've numbed. Maybe it's your body asking for attention. Whatever it is, the moment you allow yourself to feel it, you create space for release. Renewal doesn't come from ignoring what's uncomfortable. It comes from moving through it with grace. When you wake in those early hours, your mind might start replaying memories or imagining fears. The temptation is to push those thoughts away, but they're often the very things that need to be seen. You don't have to dive into them or solve them in that moment. Just acknowledge them. Say quietly to yourself, I see you. I feel you. Sometimes the simple act of witnessing what arises is enough to dissolve its grip. Renewal is not about adding more effort. It's about softening into awareness. The more you allow, the more you release. The more you release, the lighter you become. There's also something sacred about those hours between night and dawn. The world is silent. The air feels different. The darkness holds a strange kind of peace. If you allow yourself to be still, you might notice that the quiet has a texture. It breathes. It feels alive. That's not coincidence. Spiritually, many traditions view this time as a moment of awakening, the hour when intuition, insight, and connection to higher consciousness are strongest. When you wake during this time, it might be life itself calling you inward. Instead of reaching for distractions, you can choose to listen, sit in the dark, feel your breath. You may begin to sense a subtle shift, a feeling of being held by something larger than yourself. That's renewal in motion. The moment when you remember that you're part of something greater, and that peace doesn't come from control, but from surrender. Transformation is never loud. It happens in whispers. It happens in moments like these, when the world sleeps and you are alone with yourself. Renewal is not a single event, it's a process of unfolding. Every breath you take in those quiet hours is an opportunity to return to yourself. You may not find all the answers, but you'll find space, you'll find clarity. And sometimes that's all you need. The next day, you may not even remember every thought that passed through you, but you'll feel different. Lighter, clearer, calm. That's the power of the night's gentle work. It cleanses you quietly, without fanfare. Renewal also requires compassion. When you wake up restless, your instinct might be to criticize yourself or feel broken. But healing cannot grow in a field of self-blame. Speak kindly to yourself. Say, it's okay to be awake right now. My body is just asking for care. That softness creates the conditions for transformation. The more compassion you bring to your restlessness, the faster peace returns. Compassion is the water that helps the soil of your inner world regenerate. Without it, even the strongest intentions dry up. Renewal is not achieved through force, it blooms through gentleness. In the process of renewal, letting go is essential. The hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. are a natural time for release. The body detoxifies, the mind clears, the spirit resets. When you wake in that window, it may be a sign that something inside is asking to be released. Maybe it's a thought pattern that's no longer serving you. Maybe it's resentment, guilt, or fear. You don't have to analyze it. You just have to breathe it out. Inhale acceptance. Exhale release. Feel the old energy leaving your body, making room for the new. Renewal is like the tide. It cannot fill you until it first empties you. The beauty of renewal is that it always leads to strength. Not the kind of strength that hardens you, but the kind that softens you into authenticity. When you begin to see waking in the night not as an inconvenience but as an invitation, you change your entire relationship with yourself. You stop seeing restlessness as weakness and start seeing it as wisdom. Your body is intelligent. It knows when something needs to shift. By listening to it, you align with your natural rhythm of healing. Each time you honor that rhythm, you build resilience. You teach yourself that peace isn't something you chase. It's something you return to. And when the morning light begins to appear, something subtle has changed. The world outside begins to stir, but you feel different inside. You've touched something deeper than sleep. You've touched renewal. Maybe your problems haven't disappeared, but they've lost their sharpness. Maybe your fears are still there, but they don't control you anymore. The night has done its work. It's washed away a layer of heaviness. You rise not just awake, but awake to yourself. The restlessness has become revelation. Renewal is the quiet miracle of being human. It's the ability to fall apart and come back together, again and again. To wake in the night, meet your own chaos with kindness, and still find beauty in the darkness. Each awakening between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is a reminder that life is always offering you another chance. To breathe, to release, to begin again. You don't have to fight it, fear it, or fix it. You just have to be present enough to receive it. Because renewal doesn't come from outside of you. It begins in the simple, sacred act of saying, this moment too can be a beginning.